Hey, grace and peace. Good morning, everyone. I hope you are doing well on this Thursday, the last day of January in 2019. And it is frigid outside, but it is warmer than it was yesterday. So I'm over at the office and it's not as bad as I thought it would be. So, hey, Frankie, how are you, man? Today we're going to be talking about, hi, Kelsey. We're going to be talking about Psalm 71, verses 1 to 6. Psalm 71, verses 1 to 6. If you haven't had a chance to read that passage, go check it out and come back here and we will talk about it. So, Psalm 71, verses 1 to 6. So, this is an untitled psalm. Untitled psalm. In other words, it doesn't have an author listed. So typically we attribute the Psalms to David. And yes, David wrote Psalm 70, and a lot of people attribute him to Psalm 72, at least that is names mentioned. But Psalm 71 is untitled. And it could be David. Not that it matters, I guess. The other thing that we want to talk about, it is a lament, which is a heartfelt cry, a broken heart cry to God. So three things that jumped out to me in this passage, and they all start with the letter P. Very, very simple reflections here. The first one is that this psalm is a prayer. It's a prayer for rescue. So if you look at the psalm, in verse number 1, it says, I have come to you for protection. Don't let me be disgraced. Save me and rescue me, for you do what is right. Turn your ear to listen to me and set me free. Be my rock of safety where I can always hide. Give the order to save me, for you are my rock and my fortress. And it goes on, but in the sense there is this prayer for rescue. And as we read through a psalm, we can pray the psalm. We can pray the psalms, which is, you think about these are songs, they're prayers. The psalms are the prayer book of the early church, and of course, our Jewish brothers and sisters continue to use the psalms in that way. So this is a prayer, and it's a prayer that we can pray. So I encourage you to read the Psalm 71, first 6 verses for study, but go back and read them as a prayer and ask God to save you, rescue you from what you got going on in your life, whether that be illness, and whether that be relational difficulties, whether that be some sort of emotional issue that is bringing you down. And I think we all experience that from time to time. And maybe you're out there and you struggle with depression like I do. This psalm is a good psalm to pray and ask God for help. The second P, is there is, even in this prayer, there is praise. And in verse number 5, it says, O Lord, you alone are my hope. I've trusted you, O Lord, from childhood. So there is this sense of praise where it's not just about asking God to do these things. It is also a praise for God who has been faithful in the past. Hi, Lisa. How are you? And so there is a prayer, but there's also praise. And then the third P that I see in this is the focus on the past. In verse 5, it says, I've trusted you, O Lord, from my childhood. Yes, you have been with me from birth, from my mother's womb. You have cared for me. No wonder I am always praising you. So there is this focus backwards. A lot of people will attribute this to an elderly person looking back upon their life and counting their blessings, counting God's faithfulness throughout the life. So this is also connected to Jeremiah, what we read yesterday, because there is a sense of a connection when Jeremiah said that you had formed me from my mother's womb, or God said that. Also, the psalmist says, you have been with me from birth, from my mother's womb, you have cared for me. And so there is this element that God is with us from the very beginning, even before our birth. God has called us to particular ministries, like we talked about yesterday. But in the Psalm, there's much more an emphasis that God has cared for us throughout. And so as I turned the big 50 last month, I look backwards upon my life and see God's faithfulness, even when I wasn't faithful. I got saved in 1996, but in the years that led up to that, I noticed some strange things going on in my life where God's hand was upon me and I didn't know it. And just like the psalmist here looks backwards, I think that it's a good thing for us to look backwards and thank God for his protection and guidance throughout the years. And even when we make some bad decisions and we face the consequences, God's grace is still with us. As Wesleyans, we call this the prevenient grace of God, the grace that goes before. Even before we accept him, God is still wooing us, is still involved in our lives, and that's pretty awesome. You ask me? So Psalm 71, application for me is to pray this through as a prayer, asking God to save me in the areas of my life that I'm struggling in right now. So, hey, share your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you see in the passage. Let's let each other know. And hey, I want to invite you, if you feel comfortable, if you want to shoot videos like this, go Facebook Live and share your thoughts. I encourage you to do so. The more people we can get into this Bible reading plan, the better. And for the sole reason is that I believe amazing things can take place as God's people read the Bible together. And I know we all have our personal Bible reading plans, but can you imagine what would take place if we would all read together, talk together, share with our friends? It could be an incredible evangelistic thing also, is just to share, hey, why don't you read the Bible with me this week? Let's see what it's all about. And every week is a new week. And so you have that opportunity every week to invite somebody to read along with you. All right, that's it. So today's Thursday, tomorrow's Friday. Friday is my favorite day of the week for the sole reason we get to talk intersections, themes that run through these 4 passages. And we talked a little connection between Jeremiah and the Psalm today, but I'm really excited to share, what the themes that jumped out to me this week. And I'm curious to hear what jumped out to you. So that's it. Stay warm out there, and I will see you all tomorrow. Grace and peace.